Hi, Nikunj. Hi, Girish.
Hey guys.
Uh,
You guys just call me. Hi, guys.
I called you by your name, but hi, Nikunj.
Hey everyone.
Tell me, how has this time been for you? I mean, I'm intrigued because I know the one thing that's taken over all our lives is Zoom calls. So how have you been adapting to just that to begin with?
I mean, for me, I feel that it's been kind of the busiest time of my life. I don't remember a time where I've been this busy in all of my working life. And we spent an amazing amount of time with an amazing set of volunteers, just trying to do whatever we can on a daily basis. And so a lot of people talk about like lockdown when they get bored and they don't know what to do. I have the opposite problem, which is to try to get some time out to eat and things like that.
Yeah.
That brings us to the Khichdi project. We'll come to that in just a bit.
Yeah, no, Girish is right. I mean, actually, I blame him for it because until he wrote me into helping him out with covidindia.org, actually, it was relatively okay. You know, life was a bit quiet. We had time to watch TV and we were worrying about what the latest show and season we should be watching was. And then, anyway, when we started this, it's like now we've got 3 jobs. Because I've got the regular job, which is trying to run our company in the middle of this pandemic, with our entire team working from home. We've got the covidindia.org project, which actually seems like the full-time job at the moment. And then there's the house cleaning and cooking. And so honestly, I think we have like 14 to 16 hour days, and I don't know where the time goes. So yeah, I think finally we managed to take half a day off and watch a TV season this weekend. It was the first time, in a long time. So,
what caught your attention on the telly?
Well, yeah, Homeland actually. So
nice. It's the final season, huh? It's
final
over.
season. Yeah.
It's finished after this. Awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, and I have to say, definitely it's got better than the middle ones, in my view.
And that is something that we all need to hear, especially if you've been an ardent fan. I mean, I kind of got lucky with Game of Thrones because I wasn't following it, for 8 years or 10 years.
Yeah.
And I wasn't waiting for, the year to go by to watch the next season. So I wasn't as disappointed as I was, in comparison to the fans who were waiting for it. And they were like, what? You cannot do this to us.
Yeah, I was completely heartbroken.
Heartbroken? You were one of those people?
Yeah. I was one of those people who was ready to write the entire season and send it and be like, this is what you should have done. And I did actually write a very long WhatsApp message to all my groups.
Oh, damn. I don't know why. I feel like I should say I'm sorry, but, I hope you're better now because it's been behind us. But tell me something, this conversation kind of gives me an idea as to you guys are just like everybody else. You've got your 3 jobs, literally, like your housework, your companies, but now you have a new baby and this baby needs its nourishment. But how did this idea even germinate? How did you 2 minds come in together? Who prompted the idea? What prompted the idea? Why are we, how did the idea of covidindia.org germinate?
COVID India actually started because somewhere back in January, I have a medical communication company, and somewhere back in January, I was reading a tweet of a professor that claimed that R0 was somewhere around 3.08 to 4 for this thing. And R0 is the rate of transmission. That's not really very important, but I mean, it's very, very important because what it translated to with the kind of mortality rates that we thought it had back then was I did a quick calculation and I was like, this is like 50 million dead people in 9 months. This is not like a small deal or a simple thing. And so immediately we started making collateral materials, since we do medical communications, to try to raise awareness. And in the process, we did something that went on Wikipedia, and there was a back-end conversation that then led somehow to China using lopinavir in its treatment regimen. And I started feeling that, you don't have to be the person with the answers to move the conversation forward. And you just have to be in the conversation and drive it, okay? And so what happened was, that was around mid-Feb at this point, and I reached out to a cousin of mine in the IAS, and I said, is our government ready for this? And I want to help. So she put me in touch with the health ministry, and I went 10 days later to meet the health ministry. And in order to meet them, I had to have something to show. So I started covidindia.org. And I was really impressed because Love Agarwal, Joint Secretary, who's in charge of operations, went through every page of my site. And he took the time to tell me how I could help. And that really energized us. And I came back and really put a lot of effort into COVID India. It grew very fast. It kind of manifested itself. I told Mr. Lagavarwal that we would have 1 million views within a month, and we hit 1 million views within 3 weeks. And within 3 weeks, when we hit that 1 million views, we started getting a lot of people contacting us and saying, I want to help, right? So then we started bringing on volunteers, and we said, we shouldn't just raise awareness, we should take action. And we started all these action streams, of which the fundraising is one of them. And as that was,
so when you said that people started reaching out to you, these people started reaching out to you with ideas, or with the or with the intention to actually help you monetarily to, take this idea forward?
No, so they reached out through the website, and they said, I want to do something for my country. Tell me what to do.
Nice. I swear to God, that's like literally the first question that I've been asking before we got onto this phone call, saying, what am I doing on this phone call? Please let me know what I can do to make this conversation worth the listener's while. Like, how is it that I can be even remotely involved to make sure that anything that we speak about makes a shift or makes a change into the heart or the mind of the person who's listening to this conversation? So, wow, okay. And so thank you very much for that.
They absolutely did that. They said, how can we help? And a lot of them started coming on board. And there was so much outpouring that, first thing I did was call Nick and say, you've got a recruitment company. I'm drowning. Please help, And of course, Nick and I have known each other since we were 6 years old. And
oh, wow. Did you study in Bombay or?
No,
we both grew up in Kenya, actually, early on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then Girish and I used to compete for our class prize at the age of 6. I have to say he beat me most of the time. And then eventually...
I would imagine you beat him. I mean, come on, you lost all your hair in the process.
He's being modest.
Anyway. I think apparently we worked out yesterday that I beat him at marbles and he beat me at everything else. So that but obviously it was only the marbles that counted. So everything else was irrelevant. But no,
I lost all my marbles in the process.
And then we both found ourselves in India many decades later. So in between, Girish moved to the US. I was in the UK, and then myself and my wife kind of moved to India at the end of 2008. Girish had been here already a few years, and we reconnected again back in India. We'd stayed on and off in touch over the years, whilst he was in the US, I was in the UK, and so on. And then we reconnected, and again, the friendship just kind of restarted from, where it left off. Yeah. And then, and then in February, I think it was about early March, I guess, where suddenly, Seema and I, my wife and I were sort of saying, we haven't heard from Girish for ages. What's going on? Where is this guy? And we had actually planned we were going to go to Missouri for a weekend in March sometime. We're okay, it'll be great to see them. And then all of a sudden he disappeared. And so then one day I picked up the phone. I said, dude, where are you? What is going on? He said, I'm so busy. I've got this. I'm running this volunteer effort. I'm drowning. I'm like, okay, let me know how I can help. And
oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, he was like, well, you run a recruitment business, and you obviously understand a little bit about how to screen people and so on. So can you help me with that? So that's how it started.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the key takeaway from this conversation is that you can be anybody. You could be planning your next holiday. You could just be anyone from any part of the country right now. But you could be associated with covidindia.org just by the pure thread of intention. And your intention, if it is directed if your intention says, what is it that I can do to help? Then we have a place for you to help in whatever capacity, in whatever enormity that it may be. Am I getting this right?
Absolutely. That's the one thing I keep telling my volunteers, is that the one thing that separates people from the ones who answer the call is not what they do or what they can do, but who they are. And that is absolutely about what their intention is.
Amazing. So tell me, through this concert, which is the Khichdi Project, how many homes or how many mouths do we plan or do we intend to feed? And how did this happen? Is it because both of you are really bad cooks and khichdi is the best thing you can cook?
No, so it started. So we already had one event where we helped raise some funds, and that was directed towards purchasing PPE equipment.
Yes.
For the frontline staff, and actually even this concert, the Helping Hands concert, the idea is to put money towards feeding meals. And
how many PPE kits have we managed to arrange so?
So we've done thousands. We've done over the concert. The event we had last time. That has gone over to directly fund over 1,000 versions of the stuff for PPE. But we also have a supplier database that's open to anyone. That's 100+ suppliers, where we vet the suppliers ourselves from the volunteers and help anybody who wants PPE find the right supplier with certification, etc. So without directly funding it, we help many other PPEs get to the right place.
So yeah, and to answer your question is, and how did we end up with the Khichdi project? So we know the guys behind Food Links through some of the investments and activities that we do. And so when we were chatting to them, they're like, oh, look, we're feeding, for 30 rupees, we're feeding a large bowl of khichdi every day to a person, and we can do this at scale because we're repurposing our catering. Food Links is a wedding catering business, like high-end wedding catering. And they have these, these big kitchens, these dark kitchens, if you want to call them, what have you, right in the middle of Mumbai. And they were like, we can repurpose this to serve lots and lots of meals at very cost-effective price to the people that really need it. So we were, okay, this makes a lot of sense. It's, it's biggest bang for your buck, because everything we're trying to do is around massive impact. And Khichdi Project, they had the scale, they had the facilities, they had the organization, and then they were working with the right people. So they're working with Mumbai Police, they're working with Tatas, they're working with a bunch of NGOs to get the food product, out to the places where it's needed most. So we were like, this fits in 100% with what, we believe in. So we said, okay, let's work. And then we also reached out to, again, and just through personal networks, the Impact Guru Foundation. So Impact Guru Foundation, again, is a platform normally where they raise money for helping the needy get medical treatment. But obviously during these COVID-19 times, they've also been raising funds for other worthy causes. And they have actually got a partnership with the ACT grant. So ACT stands for Action COVID-19 Task Force. Which is a bunch of private equity and venture capital guys that got together and put money together to, again, support the fight against COVID-19 in India. So when we reached out to them, they're like, great, we can actually help you and we will be able to help you raise money towards the PPE side of things. So together, the Khichdi Project and together with Impact Guru and Act grant, we're able to support these two big initiatives. And it's
brilliant.
Yeah. And the beauty was that these were people that we knew well, that we could vouch for and are reliable. And we also know that can actually get a lot done and get the biggest bang for our buck.
And now I have one last question for you, wonderful human beings. Tell me, where did you see, that last bit fit in together? The last piece of the puzzle, because this is a reality now because of artists. So how did you think you could bring in artists from various walks of life with various genres of music, and how did you see this fitting together in the grander scheme of things?
So even the last event that we did was with artists, different kind of artists, and it was comedians, but very well with performers. And even for that event, we got the feeling that everybody wants to help. So you kind of have to put it out there into the universe. And one of the people that put it out into the universe was a good friend of mine, who's one of the owners of Stitch Digital, and he is the one who said, also answered the call, and he said, we work with singers all the time, and everybody wants to help. So why don't we reach to them and see if we can do something together? And that's how this concert idea came out.
Brilliant. How excited are you about, the evening that's about to unravel?
I've been wanting Vishal Dadlani for such a long time. I really wanted him to be on. I have a very strong affinity to his music for some reason. Whenever I hear something.
His Pentagram days as well.
Sorry.
Have you followed his music through the Pentagram days?
Yes. Well, it's actually, once he started doing the Bollywood scoring, I always felt like I could tell when the music was made by him.
Wow. Okay.
And because it was always like a song that would kind of speak to me a little bit here and there. And so I really wanted him as part of this concert. And so I'm super excited for that.
I'll tell you how much Girish wanted these guys on. So Vishal was stuck out in a farmhouse outside.
Yeah, he still is actually. He's in Karjat as we speak.
Yeah, and he in his Geo tower had burnt down or fallen down or something, or been lightning strike, or God knows whatever. So he had no internet, and so Girish said, "I am going to get you internet." So again, reached out, and he basically reached out to a bunch of contacts, and lo and behold, after a bunch, the Geo guys suddenly pitched up at the farmhouse. They're like, "Hey, what's the problem?" Okay, I mean, Girish made that happen. So I think kudos to him. I mean, and obviously this all goes back to his total love for Bollywood music and all things Desi, actually. I'll be honest. I think I hadn't really heard of half of the artists until 2 days ago. So.
Oh wow! But have you Googled these artists, and have you listened to any of their tracks yet?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing artists there are.
Great artists, yeah.
There can be two ways to this, all right? One, you Google all these artists and you know exactly what kind of music you can expect tonight. Or two, you can just wait to be surprised. Well, for me, because I've been a part of the events business long before I became a part of the acting business or the acting field as a genre of entertainment, I think I had this good fortune of working with so many people on the list. And I actually have friends on the list performing. So, of course, Vishal Dadlani is one of them. But then Manasi Scott, Mohan Kannan, Akasa. And I'm really, really excited to see how this evening unfolds. Thank you so much for being on this call. Thank you so much for speaking to us. I think I just have one takeaway, which I would like to share with everybody who's watching right now. And that is, if you want to do something big, all you need to start with is a small intent. So if your intention is good enough, your heart is in the right place, you can go out and accomplish big things for people who don't even know us and we're not directly in contact with. So thank you so much for building this initiative. And I hope we've got many, many homes to feed. And for everyone who's watching, enjoy the show. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks very
Thank
much.
you, as we say over India. Thank you for being part of the human response.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Cheers, guys.
Take care.
Cheers.